24, Ghost Protocol. Narrated by Victor Lopez. The following takes place between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. Events occur in real time. Jack was alone again in his cell, his heart still racing from the unusual short but painful torture he just endured. He sat upright on his worn mattress, slowly steadying his breaths. It was common of any man in his position to go mad from the isolation, but Jack wasn't just any man. He had used this passing time to exercise when he could. Though small, his cell was big enough for a workout space, to keep his body healthy and active. He had used his time to read as well, whatever was available. Lying next to him on his mattress lay a copy of War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy, and the Bible, to keep his mind healthy and active as well. The years had subjected him to the rhythm of the prison, which was as predictable as snowfall. 8 years of the same boots, the same doors, the same rations. Jack Bauer could count the hours without a clock, just from the cadence of guards switching posts. But tonight, the rhythm broke. The boots were heavier, not just guards, more of them, and faster. Voices too. Not the muttered Russian he knew by heart, but different tones. Clipped, confident, outsiders. Jack moved his eyes, fixed on the narrow slit of his door. He didn't move, but every nerve was taut. Something was happening. Down the hall, 2 guards stopped in front of his cell, speaking low. Jack caught fragments through the bars. Visitors. Important. Non-military. Business. Spectre. One of them noticed Jack's eyes on them, sneered.
Don't stare, American. Maybe they finally decide to shoot you tonight.
Jack didn't answer. He tilted his head, catching another sound. The grind of heavy gates opening outside, followed by the muffled growl of engines idling in the snow. Visitors? At a place like this? That didn't happen. In the compound's entry hall, Colonel Sidrov stood with the 4 guards at his back. He watched as the reinforced doors groaned open and 3 figures stepped inside, shedding the snow from their coats. They didn't wear uniforms. They didn't need to. The first was tall, sharp-featured, his hair clipped close, but his presence filled the room. Behind him, a man and a woman, both younger, both with the same unmistakable bearing of trained professionals. They scanned the hall like operatives entering hostile ground, every detail noted and filled. Sidrov didn't offer a handshake. His eyes narrowed as he spoke.
You were told this is a secure site. I hope you appreciate the risk I take in opening it to you.
The tall man glanced around the entry hall, taking in the guards, the reinforced steel doors, the cameras overhead. Then he looked back at Sidrov with the faintest smirk.
Risk? No, Colonel. This place is a tomb. You've buried your prize here for 8 years. No one in Moscow speaks of him. No one in Washington remembers him. A ghost kept in the snow.
He leaned closer, lowering his voice.
The only risk is that you've grown comfortable living with him under your roof.
Sidrov's jaw flexed.
Do not mistake restraint for comfort. Bauer has cost us much blood. I keep him here breathing because he still has value, and because men above me wish it so.
Men above you, the visitor repeated, as though tasting the words.
Yes, that is the difference between us. You answer to Moscow. I answer to no one.
The silence hung, sharp in the cold air, broken only by the creak of boots as Sidrov turned, leading them deeper into the compound.
This way.
The visitors fell into step behind him, boots echoing against the concrete floor. As they passed the cell block, the tall man's gaze fixed briefly towards the row of iron doors. Just a glance, but long enough. He didn't pause, didn't speak. But his eyes lingered on the one cell at the end of the corridor, where a figure sat, half hidden in the shadows. Jack didn't move, but he felt it. Whoever these people were, they hadn't come all this way just to look at the walls. The convoy of footsteps moved on, deeper into the compound. Doors opened, then shut again. Silence returned to the block, but it was a different silence. Jack leaned back against the wall, heart steady, breath misting in the cold air. Whatever this meant, it wasn't routine. And in this place, anything that broke the rhythm meant change. The kind you survived, or didn't. The conference room was just as bleak as the rest of the compound. Bare walls, a single steel table, fluorescent lights that buzzed overhead like flies. Sidrov sat at the head, flanked by two other FSB officers. Their uniforms pressed, their faces harder than stone. Across from them, the three visitors placed their gloves neatly on the table. But nothing else. The tall man leaned back in his chair, his hands folded loosely. He let the silence stretch until one of the Russians broke it.
You said you wish to discuss Bauer. Discuss.
The tall man's eyes shifted, calm and deliberate.
You've kept him alive for 8 years. That tells me 2 things. 1, you fear the consequences of killing him. 2, you no longer know what to do with him.
The Russians bristled, but Sidrov only raised a hand, keeping them still.
Speak plainly. What is it you want? We want Bauer.
That landed heavy in the room. One officer scoffed.
You? You want him? Why? He is broken. We have made sure of it.
The woman on the visitor's side leaned forward. Her Russian was flawless, her tone clipped and precise.
You've only tried to break him, and yet he breathes. 8 years, Colonel. That is not broken. That is endurance you don't understand.
Sidrov's gaze sharpened, but he stayed quiet. The tall man's voice was quiet now, deliberate.
Men like Bauer are not accidents of history. They are instruments, forged in fire, discarded when inconvenient. But in the right hand, an instrument can play again, and the sound it makes can move nations.
One of the Russians bristled.
Poetic nonsense. If he has value, explain it.
The tall man didn't blink.
Value cannot always be explained in words. Sometimes it must be demonstrated. Trust me when I say this. Bauer has a use. One you cannot see. Because you've spent years trying to break him instead of listening to what he represents.
Sidrov leaned forward now, his voice sharp but curious.
And what does he represent to you?
The man's smile thinned.
A door, one we intend to open.
The room went still. The Russians traded uneasy looks, but the visitors offered nothing more, just the weight of certainty in their tone. Sidrov leaned back, his eyes narrowing as if he was trying to decide whether he was hearing a promise or a threat. The silence in the conference room stretched until Sidrov broke it. His voice was sharp, all business now.
You want Bauer? Then let us speak a price.
The tall man inclined his head slightly, as if humoring him.
Go on,
he said. Sidrov steepled his fingers.
We require 3 things. First, weapons. Modern, high grade, in number sufficient to equip the regiment. Second, high currency, untraceable, delivered through channels of our choosing. And third, intelligence. NATO troop movements, Baltic deployments, anything you have.
The tall man listened without expression. When Sidrov finished, he leaned forward just enough for his words to land harder.
You ask for steel, for paper, for whispers. Fine. All of that can be arranged. But in return, we require one thing only.
His eyes fixed on Sidrov.
No more of your experiments on him. No more games. From this moment, his blood is not yours to spill.
One of the FSB officers bristled.
You don't give orders around here.
The woman on the visitor's side cut in sharply.
We give terms. Without them, there is no deal.
Sidrov's gaze snapped back to her, but he didn't lash out. He turned his gaze to the tall man.
You speak as if he belongs to you already.
The man's faint smile returned.
No, Colonel. He belongs to no one. That is his curse, and his value. We will take custody of him this morning. What? Right now?
One officer repeated, stunned. The tall man's tone sharpened.
Do you want him gone or not? 8 years you have fed a ghost. After 8 years, I'd imagine you've run out of good excuses to explain his existence to Moscow and to your superiors. His chains become mine. Yours are broken.
The Russians fell silent at that. The argument was simple. It was brutal, but correct. Sidrov drummed his fingers against the steel table. His eyes narrowed, calculating. Then he gave the faintest of nods. A decision was made. The Russians wasted no time. Orders barked and clipped Russian echoed down the corridors, boots striking faster, sharper. The black site's rhythm, the rhythm Jack Bauer had memorized for 8 years, was unraveling. From his cell, Jack heard the locks disengage. 2 guards stormed in, their movements urgent. One barked at him in Russian.
On your feet!
Jack didn't move, his eyes fixed on them, calm, calculating. The second guard stepped forward, rifle angled towards his chest.
On your feet, now!
Jack rose slowly. His muscles ached from the last interrogation, but his posture remained steady. He learned long ago never to give them the satisfaction of weakness. Cold steel cuffs clamped down on his wrists. A black hood was yanked over his head, drowning him in fabric and stale air. Hands shoved him forward. He stumbled once, then adjusted, matching the rhythm of his captor's steps. Outside his cell, the compound roared with life. Engines rumbled. Doors clanged open and shut. He could hear voices. Russian, yes, but something else layered beneath it. Another cadence. English, low and firm. Jack's pulse stayed steady, but every nerve sharpened. Whoever these people were, they weren't the Russians he knew. He was marched down the hall, boots striking concrete, the air colder now as doors opened to the Siberian morning sky. Snow bit at his ankles, sharp even through his thin prison clothes. The sound of vehicles loomed closer.
Load him up!
Hands pushed Jack hard, forcing him through the back of a vehicle. Metal floor under his boots, the stink of oil and gunmetal in the air. Shackles clicked up to a chain on the wall. The door slammed shut behind him, sealing him in darkness. Outside in the swirling snow, the tall man lingered a moment, watching the Russians secure the last details. His breath fogged in the cold as he allowed himself a faint, satisfied smile. 8 years of silence. Tonight the ghost was his. The convoy engines roared, wheels biting into ice. Inside the rattling steel of the transport, Jack sat shackled and hooded, his mind racing. Something had changed. And whatever it wasn't rescue.